Good evening, everybody. This is Jose Negron, and this is going to be a short video. Welcome to my channel on Uncommon Sense. Right now, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, and Twitter. Now, the theme for this short video will be intolerance. First of all, let me define what intolerance is. It is unwillingness to accept views, beliefs, or behavior that differ from one's own. Unfortunately, throughout the history of the United States, there have been people who have been intolerant of other people's viewpoints. Let's take the example of the indigenous people of the United States. People have called them savages, subhuman. We had caused many of them to die through sickness and death. We have forced thousands of indigenous people away from their homes. Also, as far as intolerance is concerned, there's a great deal of people who are intolerant regarding the African American community, calling them all such terrible names, which I am not going to repeat. But it is suffice to say that people have heard many of these terms. I mean, for a large part of our history, African Americans were treated as less than second-class citizens. In our Constitution, an African American was considered 3/5 of a human being. We had enslaved millions of them. We have mistreated them. We have hunted them down. We had engaged in forced intercourse with the women. We have deprived them of their culture, their way of life. And after the Civil War, they live under the boot of segregation and Jim Crow laws. Another example of intolerance was the treatment that Japanese Americans received during the Second World War, where thousands were placed in internment camps for fear of that they may side with the enemy, which was the Empire of Japan. Also, we have had a great deal of intolerance views regarding people from Latin America, calling them all sorts of names, treating them as savages. Yet many of them serve in the military, and many of them had lived exemplary lives. And unfortunately, after 9/11, there was a great deal of intolerance towards the Muslim community and being fearful of them. And unfortunately, you have people who assume just because a group of Muslim extremists committed the attacks on 9/11, automatically they assume that all Muslims are the same. That is not the truth. Most Muslims are respectable, loving, caring, and they're law-abiding citizens. And they have to deal with a lot of mistrust and hatred, all because they are followers of Islam. We even mistreated the LGBTQ community, calling them names, attacking them. Some were killed because of their sexual orientation. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. Um, you can love who you wish, okay? And the fact of the matter is, just because I do not believe in as far as meeting the goals of the LGBTQ plus community, doesn't mean that they're less caring and understanding. It's just that certain things I do not agree with, and that's fine. But let us be agreeable when we disagree. Another example of this has to do with the pandemic. And unfortunately, at a time when we should be together supporting each other, you have people who got the COVID-19 vaccine shaming those who did not. And then you've got those who choose not to get the COVID-19 vaccine shaming those that did. Okay? When everything is said and done, we all must make our personal choices when it comes to our health. And let us be agreeable when we disagree. Okay? It is sad that during this health crisis, there's been a great deal of division. There's been a great deal of mistrust. And unfortunately, we lack a sense of community because the fact of the matter is we've all been affected by COVID-19. What I need to say is the following. Everybody has different views, and all their views are valid. If you disagree with someone's view, fine. But do not shame that person for having a different view. Do not shame people if they're atheists. Atheists, please do not shame Christians for what they believe. And please do not shame people just because they believe in God. Let us be agreeable when we disagree. Once we're able to do that, we can live in a more peaceful and productive society. We'll get past this health crisis. But there is an illness that's more deadlier than COVID-19, and that is intolerance. Now, how do you deal with intolerance? You open your mind, you open your heart. You try to learn a little bit about the other person. You try to walk in their footsteps for a little while. You may not always agree, but at least you may be able to look at things through a different perspective. And once we're able to do that, we become more educated and more grounded. So in conclusion, I'd just like to say the following. Let's try not to be so judgmental on others just because they hold beliefs that are different from ours. It's okay to ask questions to try and understand a little bit what they are, but they should be questions, not judgments. Let us learn together to get along with each other. And I'm going to close the same way that I always close. People, please be careful out there because we are dealing with COVID-19, which as of today has killed over 660,000 people in this country. And let us do everything we can to minimize contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged. Because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their intolerance, stupidity, and massive insanity. That being said, I thank you very much for your time, And I just want to remind everybody that on Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 6 o'clock Eastern Pacific Standard Time, we will have another live stream regarding COVID-19 pandemics. Do they help or they hurt? What we will do is we will separate fact from fiction. That being said, I thank you very much. Take care and peace.